You're listening to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast brought to you by Nottinghamshire Live. Hello, welcome to Garibaldi Red as we look ahead to the not at all terrifying prospect of Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest in the Premier League on Saturday. Joining me to discuss that, first of all, is Reds fan Mikey Clarke. Mikey, consecutive appearances for you. How are you doing?
I know, good stuff. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, Matt. Are you? You good?
Yeah, all right. Can't complain. And second guest today returning is Michael Temple. Temps, how are you?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
It's good to ask. How are your raspberries?
Delicious, mate. It's that time of year. They're in season. 30% extra free at the co-op. Nice little pick-me-up late morning before we get stuck into Forest Liverpool, like you say. So, yeah, I know you've had a few commenters that think you waffle too much at the start. So ask us a probing question.
I will in a minute. It's just that I really hate raspberries. That's why I asked. Cannot stand them at all. Right, probing question number one. This isn't a probing question at all, but just general Temps. How are you feeling? Is the phrase free hit in your mind? Or obviously the table dictates, I guess it's not. But can Forest actually get anything from this?
Yeah, it has to be. I think we should go out with more attacking intent. We've seen far too many times now where we think we're going to strangle the opposition and some fortuitous circumstance will give us a 1-0 win. I think we've got to force the issue now for Cooper to maintain the collective support, which he has at the minute. The reception he had at the weekend was fantastic. And I've definitely formed a view that those that are watching Forest and attending the games are far more behind him, far more firmly behind him than the handful of keyboard warriors that want him gone. I think to maintain that between now and the end of the season, whatever happens, he needs to be seen to be setting us up with more positive attacking intent, more willingness to take chances, and great debate with Fletch and Mikey and Emily on Monday. But yeah, we do have to make ourselves more open to do that. We've got to buy some raffle tickets and see what comes in. So I am positive in the sense that I can still see a route to survival without us beating Liverpool. But wouldn't it be great to go up there and have a bit more of a go than we have seen in recent weeks, where we've been too flat on the road, too defensively minded, and patiently waiting for a break that was never going to come with that type of setup. I hope we play more expansively and take far more risk this weekend.
Good to see you calling people who want him on keyboard warriors, making friends early doors there.
Yeah, I think you know what I mean. I think the Cooper debate rumbles on. But, Twitter is just a group of people shouting down a well. I think where you really take the temperature is in the stadium. And everybody at the City Ground at the weekend was behind the manager and the team. And that's how it should be.
True. Is that some pro-Cooper Paul Smith you've got on there, I see, or is it?
I think I bought this before Steve Cooper even discovered the brand. So yeah, I've inspired him on this one.
Mikey, I guess, I said frightening prospects at the start, a little tongue-in-cheek, but then obviously Liverpool went to Leeds, took them apart completely. The second game, Leeds have lost heavily at home. We don't need to mention the one before was against us, but how are you feeling about this game? Are you completely terrified, or are you in the camp of Temps of maybe we can get something if we turn up and they have an off day?
I'm very much in the camp of Temps. I know everybody watched Liverpool on Monday. Rip Leeds a new one. Some of their attacking play on the transition was absolutely frightening, terrifying stuff. So I just think we're at a stage in the season now. If this was after 10 games, my answer will probably be different. And I'd probably be thinking, do you know what? Pick and choose the games where we think we can get maximum points from. Liverpool away is probably not one of them. Just read in the comments, we've not won there since 1969. Well, that's filled me with optimism. Thank you very much, whoever wrote that. But I just think now you're at a stage where there's half a dozen, 7-8 games left, whatever there is, not that many, where that ship has sailed. We can't now pick and choose the games. We have to be more on the front foot. And if that includes going to Liverpool, playing a little bit more open, playing 10 yards further up the pitch, pressing them in their own half. Don't expect us to press like ridiculously high up, but certainly in their own half, with the fact that we may then concede more goals. I just think that's a risk we have to take. I think you've got to be realistic as well. you know, when we look at teams later on, we could play a back five, we could sit off deep, we could invite them on. But how many chances are they going to have? And is anybody really going to give me the argument that they're not going to score in 100 or so minutes of football? Because I don't buy it. I think our best chance of getting something out of this game is to almost turn up and take them by surprise, be more aggressive, try and get that first goal. And if we get that first goal, maybe we then, later on in the game, see if we can get something from the game, you know, be that a point or whatever. But I just think if we go there with a negative attitude that, you know, we've not won for years there, they've just stuck 6 past Leeds, they stuck 7 past Man United at home a few weeks ago. If we're going to go there and have our tummy tickles, there's no point even going there. So, like I said, we're at the stage of the season now. We just need to be brave. And if that results in a 3-4-0 loss, then so be it. You know, there are games at home where maybe we can get something out of the game. But what I don't want to see is us go there, not have a shot on target again, not try and press them, not even look like scoring, and meekly lose 2-0 like we did at Villa. That's just, we just can't go for that now. We need to be more positive. And do you know what? Sometimes you have to buy a ticket to win the lottery. And who's to say we can't go there and beat them 1-0 or 2-1? Leeds went there and beat them. You know, they're not infallible Liverpool the way they were maybe a couple of seasons ago when they were rolling everybody over. It is going to be really difficult. But let's go there. Let's give the fans something to cheer for. And let's just have a go at them and just see what happens. And it's my birthday. So do you know what? I'm due a good birthday present. So let's go there and beat them 1-0. Let's be positive. Have a go.
I see it slightly differently to you guys from what you're saying. Like, I think Operation Go For It starts next week for me against Brighton at home. My worry is that we press too high up the pitch and Alexander-Arnold is just going to ping balls in behind Nico Williams and whoever that right central defender is. And Jota or Darwin or Gakpo are going to run onto it, as we saw v Leeds time and again. So for me, it's be more aggressive in the sense of don't roll over. Let's take some yellow cards. Well, not like take yellow cards. Let's put some tackles in and let's be, you know, not show them the respect that we've shown other teams. But I don't think it means go gung-ho and play 50 yards up the pitch and leave space in behind. I think it means press with the triggers a bit deeper, really. Don't just run around, you know, gung-ho. And I think they will. We'll come on to team selection, but I think you've got to pack the midfield as well. With Alexander-Arnold playing, he played as more of a central midfielder against Leeds, and if we play 2 in midfield, I think we're gonna get murdered. So we'll come on to that. Actually, let's talk about team selections quickly as ever. We've put a couple of potential lineups together. I think this one is yours, Mikey, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll go through Temps's. I'll just read it out for people who are listening, not watching. So Mikey's team. This is Mikey's team. Sorry.
I think that's Temps's team. I think.
Oh, absolutely professional. Right, this is Temps's team, and it's quite similar to mine. So we'll come on to Mikey's second. Apologies for that. Navas in goal. This is Temps's. Joe Worrell, Felipe, and Niakate across the back. Williams, Freuler, Danilo, Lodi. And then a 3, I think it's a 3, Temps can talk about it more. Johnson, Gibbs-White, and a Wonyi. So just talk us through the thinking there, Temps.
Yeah, I think we need to go there and play 2 up top, basically. So this is not Gibbs-White in the false 9. This is Gibbs-White slightly deeper, getting on the ball and not being constrained in the manner he was on Saturday by doing that man-to-man role on Casemiro, because I think that just almost completely took him out of the game. Worrell comes back in because this is the team that Forest actually wanted to pick on Saturday before Joe's illness meant that McKenna was a late change. I think it just gives us 3 ball players at the back that can launch attacks and help us to play out more accurately, get some channel balls to Taiwo, and obviously the wide boys, Williams and Lodi, have a massive role to do doing this in the shape. Must run for it to work, and the back 3 allows us to provide that bit more cover if they do find themselves in more advanced positions. My fear, and I know that Mikey will probably argue for a back four shortly, and a back four did very well against Palace, who play a similar shape to Liverpool. I think we could find ourselves exposed given the manner in which Liverpool set up with extremely attacking fullbacks and a front three that often start off the left and off the right and put you under severe pressure. So I'm advocating for a similar shape to that we had on at the weekend, albeit with more freedom for Gibbs-White, who's kind of relieved of that man-to-man defensive duty. I just hope we make better use of the strengths of Taiwo and Brennan, because for them to be successful, they need early ball. Taiwo terrorised Harry Maguire for 10, 15 minutes, but we didn't make use of that channel, didn't try and get in behind. I think their combination of pace and power in Taiwo's case could cause them problems, but I think we need three central defenders to allow Nico and Renan to be part of the plan moving forward.
So my formation is similar. So I think it will be the same shape. Temps is right when he says about Joe Worrell. He was earmarked to play the last game, but for illness. But I would stick with McKenna personally. I think he didn't do anything wrong. So I think he deserves to keep his place. Niakate's left-footed, but he looked pretty comfortable on the right side there. So I don't see a reason to change that back three. The only way I'd play four personally is if Aurier's fit. I think he put on Instagram at the weekend, see you soon, which kind of makes you think he might be fit. I think Steve Cooper's doing his press in a couple of hours, although Steve Cooper's pre-match injury press conferences aren't always 100%. But if Aurier's fit, then I'd be comfortable playing a back four. But in this instance, I think I like the three at the back to protect Williams, who's done really well as a wing back. I think much better than a right back. And then the question is, how far up the pitch can you get Williams and Loddy to be an attacking threat and not have it a back five? Because I don't think if you do just go there and pin five at the back, then you're going to lose. So I think that's important. Freuler could be Mangala comfortably because he's more athletic. But the thing about Mangala, and I'll probably throw this to you guys later, is he's so inconsistent. Like he was really good against Wolves, and then he scored against Leeds, but got hooked because they obviously didn't like what he was doing, or something was going wrong there. And then in other away games, he'll come on. He doesn't do a lot. I think he's better at home. So that's a question mark. And I agree about Gibbs-White. For me, I think he's got to play a lot as a midfielder and play deeper because he wasn't effective against Man United, but I think he can do a job in midfield. So I think he would be the third player we need energy in there, and I think he does provide that. And then Johnson and Awoniyi, I think are actually a really good front pairing for this game, especially Awoniyi, because Alexander Arnold's going to leave space in behind him. Can Awoniyi exploit it and work that channel that we've seen quite effectively from him in away games? So I think he's probably a key man. People in the comments are very negative about this team, but I actually think there's some merit to it. I mean, we could pick any team and people could write that's a 10-0 defeat on it the way things are going. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to put Mikey's team up now because it's slightly different and arguing for a back four, I think. 1 second. I'll just read this out again for people who are listening and then throw it over to Mikey. Navas in goal, back four. Williams, Felipe, Niakate, Loddy. 3 in midfield, Mangala, Freuler, Danilo, and then the front three of Johnson, Gibbs-White, and Awoniyi. You're comfortable playing a back four then, Mikey? You're not too worried about Williams and the fullbacks getting exploited?
Well, I agree with what you guys are saying around the way Liverpool play, their shape, their fullbacks get forward ridiculously. They don't even play as fullbacks, they play in the opposition half. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt, when you said we're going to have a flat back five if we start with a back five. And I genuinely think that will happen. So, I talked earlier on around getting on the front foot, pushing up the pitch, having a go at them. I don't think you do that with a back five. I think you set your stall out. And one of the things I was critical with, and I mentioned it on Monday's podcast about the Man U game, is, and I've watched it again since then, we absolutely take 10 steps back when we kick off. And I don't know whether that's a mentality thing or the way they're lined up or anything like that. But if we're doing that at home, what the hell are we going to do at Anfield? So I just like to see a setup with positive intent. We know it's going to be hard. We know Navas is going to have a hell of a game to try and keep us in it. But let's just say we lose, right? I'd rather lose and come away thinking, do you know what? At least we had a go. At least we had some crosses in the box. At least we had two up front. At least we weren't sat on the edge of our own box for 95 minutes. You know, at least we tried to be dynamic. And I just think this team sets you up a lot better. You can spend hours and hours looking at a team like Liverpool and their attacking threat. And unless you have 15 players on the pitch, you're never going to stop what they can do. So, like I said, we're at the stage of the season now where not that you ignore what the opposition can do, but you have to think about how we're going to score goals. How are we going to try and get that first goal in the game? Because if we do, that fundamentally changes everything. That's what we've been really struggling at for recent weeks is getting ahead. And then when we do, on the rare times we do, we sit back so deep and revert back into that back five, we inevitably lose a goal and don't win the game. You know, we've not won in 10 games, 3 points out of 30. We're down to the last half a dozen games or so. Let's just go there and have a go. And I don't mean to be naive when I say that. You know, this team could easily be 2-3-0 down after 10 minutes, and it could. But so could a team with a back five as well. And I'm sure if you're an away fan and you've been to a lot of the games this season, and I speak to a lot of people that have those lucrative away tickets, and they tell me all the time, every single week, we just want to have a go. We just want to have some shots at goal. We just want to be more positive, go there and try and get the first goal, try and win the game. And I just think we're at the stage now of the season where the team shape has to reflect the attacking intent. And also you've got to think about the couple of home games that we've got coming up. If we're going to play a back four at home, let's play it on Saturday. Let's get the guys used to it. And I will say also that some of our best results, if not all of our best results this season, have been with that shape. So I do see reasons, but I see no overriding reasons in my head why we should start with a back five, 2 or 3 defensive midfielders, and hope for a set piece. I just think that ship has sailed. We've got to be attacking, and yes, it brings with it risk, but everything does. It's Liverpool at Anfield. It's going to be really, really hard. Just trying to read some of the comments. I think both of our teams are losing 6-0 by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Unless we have 15 players, there's always going to be risk. But I'm very much in the camp now of let's go down being aggressive and attacking. And if it doesn't work, then so be it.
These teams are plan C, right? We'd all make a case for Serge Aurier and be far more relaxed about the back four if he was there. We all see what Ryan Yates and Czech Koyate bring to this side. We all believed when it happened that Chris Wood and John Joe would improve things and offer something different. So none of us would have advocated for these lineups or have this debate over shape if it wasn't for the injuries and, can I say, the missed signings, which have affected us so badly this season. But I think with what's available to us, they are the two most logical, viable options that we have. There's some wild card stuff you could do. Shelby could be given another go. Jesse Lingard could be given another go. But I think Cooper will revert to tried and tested and trusted. And the kind of players we're seeing in that 11, I think there was one change, wasn't it? You had Mangala over Worrell in yours. McKenna is another player that's clearly got the trust. This is what's available to us. We are not selecting from a broad group of 25 anymore.
Can I also add as well, Matt, that I think where we do agree is having those two up front, Johnson and Awoniyi, their fullbacks play really high, like I said. So if we're going to break very, very quickly, the space is where they vacated. So it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if we had Gibbs-White as a false nine, dropping back in to add the extra man in midfield. And then when we break down the wings in the space that they've vacated. So that, to me, sounds like a sensible tactic, if I'm honest. I don't think we're going to have more than 30% possession. I think it'll be like another Man U game where chances will come very few and far between, regardless of the formation that we have. But when we do have the ball and we break quickly, I think they're the areas that we can get some joy out of.
Yeah, that's going to be the plan, isn't it? I mean, that's been the plan all season. Get it to Morgan, get him turning, running, hit it into a space for Brennan. I think too often against Man U, it was the ball's on the edge of our box. I'm going to slash it 70 yards somewhere near Brennan and see if he can beat Diego Dallo and not get it into his feet. So, yeah, it needs better execution. I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White is the interesting one for me. Quite a few people in the comments are saying he should be left out. And I can see some merit to that because, like I said, I would pack the midfield. I still had Morgan in my team. But where are you standing in Temps? He's been a bit up and down of late, to be fair.
I'd have dragged him on Sunday potentially, and just made that demonstration that nobody is above being pulled. However, he was against a world-class midfield, wasn't he? That combination, Casemiro, Fernandes, Eriksen, almost a telepathic link at times between Fernandes and Eriksen. But look, he's been signed as a franchise player. We've paid circa 35-40 million pounds to build a team around him, and we've seen in flashes this season why we've done that. He does have exceptional ability on the ball. It hasn't converted into goals and assists, but he's a young player having his first full season in the Premier League. I know that's not what people want to hear for now, because we need players for now that are going to affect results. He stays in the 11. He's definitely in our best 11, but I think it's fair for us to be critical of his output on Sunday, because it fell short of the standards that we expect from him, and he wasn't effective in that game, even if he was keeping Casemiro in his sights for long periods of time. It didn't matter. Casemiro was relatively anonymous in the game. Fernandes stepped up. We need to make a plan for Morgan Gibbs-White about how we get the best out of him when we're in possession, which is, for me, balls going through him, not bypassing him as they were when John Joe Shelvey was in there. But we rely on him in quite an extreme manner creatively, because we see a little bit of it from Danilo and absolutely none of it from Remo Freuler. I think Freuler was for me unimpressive against Man United. He doesn't bring any real physical attribute. He's organised, he's just disciplined, he runs and he positions himself well, but in relative terms, he's not a game breaker. He doesn't launch attacks. He doesn't help us as much in possession as he does organisers out of possession. Morgan Gibbs-White is far more important to this team than he is, and I think he is a slightly defensive selection, in so much as he's never going to go. He's never going to go to pieces. His game never falls apart. When Morgan Gibbs-White doesn't get the ball, he's seen as having had a bad game, but he's a player that will always try things. He's found it tough the last few weeks, but there's no alternative that can bring to the table what he brings at this moment in time.
The thing about him as well, Mikey, is, and he hasn't done this last two away games, is he can retain possession in tight spaces. Against Leeds, he lost it every time, and he struggled against Man United. If he can rediscover that form where you get it to him, and he played that little 1-2 with Danilo against United, which was one of our really few bright moments. If we can see more of that from him, then he is you do have to pick him, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do. But he has struggled for a few weeks now. I think, the last time I was on here before Monday, we were talking about how his form's dipped a little bit, and it's no coincidence we've not won for a few months for 10 games. So, yeah, I struggled to see who the alternative is. I didn't like the substitution on Sunday for the last 3 minutes with getting Jesse Lingard on. I didn't like that for numerous reasons. I think I would have pulled Gibbs-White maybe even at half time, if I was honest, but certainly halfway through the second half. But I think for the Liverpool game looking forwards, I think he has to start. But what I didn't like against the Man United team on Sunday was Gibbs-White spent all day running around after Casemiro. And so, one, he's knackered when he gets the ball, and two, you can't get him in any positions, because when we turn over, we don't keep the ball for more than 5 or 10 seconds. It's literally get it forward as quick as possible. And Gibbs-White wasn't in the area to influence the game. So it's happened every single time we've played Man United that I've seen. And what I don't want to see is him do the same to Thiago, for example, or Fabinho, and just run around after him. So for the 5 seconds we do get the ball, he's on the left wing, or he's knackered because he's just done a sprint. You've got to try and get your best players in key areas for the minimal time that you've got the football. And if that, which is why in my formation, I played Gibbs-White kind of up front on his own with Awoniyi breaking one side and Johnson the other, so that when we do get it, he might have a pocket of space to turn and he might have options right and left. He's struggling, as is the whole team at the moment. But I don't think the answer is to remove him from the team. I think the answer is to try and get him on the ball in positions where he can influence. You know, if you're going to do a man marking job on somebody, don't use your best creative player. I never understood that whatsoever. Didn't make any sense to me. I don't want to see it on Saturday either. So yeah, keep him in the team, but get him up the pitch for me. Get him up the pitch quickly, and not give him a free roll, because I don't think we can afford that. But just say to him, drop back in if they have the ball, of course, but don't follow players around. So therefore, you're not effective when you get the ball. There's just a bit of frustration from me. And in terms of alternatives as well, I mean, what is the alternative? 3 minutes of Jesse Lingard, just a nothing substitution. So yeah, you have to start him. I never thought I'd say this, but I also see a bit of a role for Dennis, actually, to be honest. I think he's done all right. I'm going to change my opinion a little bit. I was highly critical of him when he first came in the team, but last couple of times I think he's done all right. So he could be an option, far ahead of Jesse Lingard for me. So I think if things aren't working, maybe Dennis try and do something, because one thing he can do is break a play open and beat a man, and that might be what we need, I think.
I mean, I'm going to make a left field case for someone. I think a few people mentioned it in the comments. I saw Lloyd make it. What about repeating the tactics against Man City of the 4-man midfield with Jack Colback in there to disrupt and get around, and then maybe Gibbs-White retains a bit more energy? I don't know if that would work, Temps, because Liverpool and Man City play differently, but is there some merit in? I mean, I've said repeatedly, pack the midfield. This would really be doing. He played 4-2-2-2. Yeah, I think that's it. My maths is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a good servant Jack Colback's been. I think that the commenter is valid. Never lets us down. Anniversary yesterday of the goal of the season for me last year, when he's swazzed it in from the left corner. I think he's been a great servant for Forest, and he's underrated. And when he's come into the team, he's drifted out because, you know, big guns have come back and taken the place. I think it'd be unlikely. I think parachuting someone in who's had no minutes in the previous week is not generally Steve Cooper's style. I certainly agree with Mikey and advocate for Emmanuel Dennis over Jesse Lingard. I think probably within Forest and outside, we're all a little bit perplexed as to why Ayew found himself past Sam Surridge for such a long period of time. That seems to have reversed, given the sequence of substitutions on Sunday. The shape against Man City allowed us to compete and draw a game 1-0, which we might have been expected to lose. The weakness in the shape was wide men walking onto our fullbacks. Mo Salah's one of those wide men this weekend, and if we do go with that back four, sorry to reopen this debate, we're going to have Mo Salah walking onto our fullback, and I think that's literally the last thing that we need. Engage them further up the pitch. Yes, start off relatively deep and compact, but we need to find a way to disrupt what they do out wide, because I think when they're on song, they're the very best in the Premier League at doing it. However, they followed that 7-0 win against Man United up with a 1-0 defeat against Bournemouth, who lived with scraps, 30% possession, and managed to burgle a 1-0. I know Salah missed a penalty in that game as well. We've got to score to beat them. Obviously, to do that, we need to take some chances, ride our luck. I just don't think he's going to make wild card selections of players that haven't been involved for the last couple of weeks. So whilst I rate Jack Colback extremely highly, I don't think he's involved at the weekend.
So basically, we spent 30 minutes all making different pitches, and the conclusion is there's a very good chance we're going to lose no matter what. But that's okay. You never know. There's no point playing if we all, thought that was definitely the case, and it was all played on paper. So hopefully, Forest can go there and put a performance in and get something. Because we'll just have a quick chat about the other fixtures down at the bottom and get a few takes on these. The Friday night game, quite usefully, is Arsenal v Southampton. So you would hope that will be another nail in Southampton's coffin. Then Saturday, the early game is Fulham v Leeds. So again, hopefully Fulham win that. Crystal Palace versus Everton. Leicester versus Wolves. And I'll say Bournemouth v West Ham, but those teams are looking pretty safe. Mikey, worries there that teams are going to pick up points and consign us further into the bottom three?
Yeah, potentially. But I just think it's not that we don't worry about other teams, but we are definitely going down unless we become more aggressive and assertive in games, regardless of what goes off on other fixtures. So for me, I think Southampton are pretty much gone. If you look at their run-in and their form, it's not great. So I'd expect them to be out of the conversation the next week or two, to be honest. The others almost play each other, so they are going to pick up points. That's one way of looking at it. Or you can look at it and thinking, well, they can't all pick up points. But I guess is that sporting analogy? You've got to look after yourself. You've got to look after your own performance and your own performance levels. And for me, that starts on Saturday, and it has to. So I think you'll always get surprises as well. The run-in last 6-7 games in the Championship when we're in there were absolutely mental. So you had the bottom of the league beat the top of the league. You had crazy results. You will get a bit of that in the Premier League, maybe to not that extent. So I don't think we can look at these fixtures and say definitively they will beat them or they won't beat them, for example. But what I do know is we've got to start winning some games. And, we had the debate before we came on around how many wins we think we'll need. I think we need 3. I know you guys maybe think we can get away with a lot less than that. But again, it's levels of performance as well. So even if we get beat by Liverpool this weekend, I want to see a positive performance, because when we go to when we're at home to Brighton on the Wednesday, I think it's next, isn't it? Even if we've come off the back of a defeat, but we've all seen, we're pressing a little bit higher, we're being a bit more aggressive. There'll be that buzz around the ground, right? Let's take this to a home game. Let's see what we can do. Brighton are an amazing team, by the way, really good football team. So we're going to need to have a high level of performance right from the start of that game. But I just don't think we can worry about other fixtures. It is what it is, as a once ex-football manager once said. But I do think we do need 2 or 3 wins at least. So, we've got to be positive and go there. Don't go to Anfield and get your tummy tickled. Is kind of my overarching message. Go there and have a go. And if it doesn't work out, well, it's Liverpool away, isn't it?
I agree. To me, go there and put up a performance. My view of a performance might be different to yours in terms of you sound a bit more gun-ho than me. Mine is don't show them respect, be organised. What did Warnock say? Let's enjoy it, but let's enjoy it by being effing all disciplined. Let's have a bit of a Warnock performance, I think, for me will be okay in this one. And then it starts next week on Wednesday against Brighton. I think that's where we're going to start, touch wood, picking up the points we need to. Although I agree, Brighton are an elite team this season, and it won't be easy. What are you feeling about the weekend's Temps?
Well, you don't see many 16-1 price tags on 2-horse races, and that's the odds that the bookies have got for Forest to beat Liverpool and also for Southampton to beat Arsenal, respectively. So my maths, a tenner on a Southampton Forest double will earn you £2,560. Seems unlikely. For me, 6 points from that sequence of Brighton, Brentford, and who do we play after that? Southampton. 6 points from those 3 games, or I fear relegation is all but confirmed. I don't think that's impossible. The manner in which we beat Southampton away, the form that they've found themselves in since that point suggests that we can be more than a match for them in that game. We need to find a way to get 3 points from Brentford or Brighton. If we get 6 from 9 there, I think we'll do it. I think we'll go to Palace on the final day and get what we need to stay up. 7 points may well be enough. I don't see us getting anything from Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. So that's my route to survival. However, fluff our lines against Brightford. Why do I keep saying Brightford?
Brightford.
Brighton, Brentford. Need some more raspberries, mate.
Raspberries gone to your head.
Brighton, Brentford, and Southampton. That would be curtains for Forest in terms of survival.
I think you're right. I think just summing up, I do feel like this Liverpool game is not expecting a result, hoping for a performance that tees you up for Brightford. Brent, that was deliberate.
I'm surprised I'm not getting caned in the comments for this.
You probably will be.
Developed a speech impediment in the last 10 minutes.
I do see, as Lloyd says in the comments, Brentford's winnable. I mean, on paper, it is winnable because I think they're mid-table and they do seem like they're on the slide. See how they go against Villa. Obviously, a very good team, but they've kind of achieved their objectives for the season. So, the trouble is, it's Forest and it's away. I just think they have to beat Brighton, and that sets them up for this Brentford game. Brightford's in the comments finally.
It goes back to my point, Matt. Exactly what you just said. It's Forest away, and that's what I keep trying to get across. So, the view is, we're crap away from home. We play too defensive. We don't have a go. That's what I'm saying. We need to change it so that even if it doesn't work this weekend, when we go to Brightford or whatever they're called, and Crystal Palace, we are now in that mindset of actually we are going to have a go. We do press high. This is what we do now. We've been that off. It hasn't worked. We've got 5 points all season, absolutely rubbish, or however many it is, 5 goals, I think, absolutely terrible, worst away record in the UK. It hasn't worked. Got to try something different. 7 games left. The clock is ticking. We can't go there and just park the bus. We've got to do something different. That's what I'm advocating for. Have a go. If it doesn't work, fine. But let's not go down and think, oh, do you know what? We really should have had a go at Liverpool. Or what would have happened if we would have played 3 up front? We don't need to be reckless like Leeds and go back to front and make it a basketball game. That's very, very different. But I do want to see us be more on the front foot, and that's all I'm asking for.
I think I'm asking for as well. To me, have a go can be more than get it to Brennan Johnson. I think there needs to be an alternative attacking plan, which I think might be get the wing backs higher if they play wing backs and try and get Nico Williams overlapping a couple of times. Get Lodi a bit higher up the pitch. Trust Niakate, if he does play at left side, to go one-on-one v Mo Salah, and that's where you take the risk for me. I think, rather than like you say, it can't be a shootout. It can't be a basketball game. You're gonna get annihilated. So I think I would pack the midfield more, but you've got to pass the ball better. How many times against United did we see the right-sided full, the right wing back or the person who was deep lying, get the ball on the edge of the box instead of looking for a pass, just leather it up to Brennan. And I think that's a sign of a team with no confidence, obviously. So try and go about it a different way. Any last words, Temps? Anything you want to plug, like a certain food festival that's coming up?
I've made my peace with Frank Clarke. I thought I'd mention that with you guys. So yeah, Frank Clarke's kindly volunteered to attend Trent Bridge for a benefit do with Luke Fletcher, who's been rewarded for 15 years of great service to the club. So yeah, I'll remind him of the podcast in which he barely let me get a word in, but he's well worth listening to, and his service to Forest as a player, chairman, manager is second to none. So I do have a food festival on the 30th of April. Come along if you fancy it. I'm going to go away and learn the names of all 20 Premier League teams so I don't embarrass myself on your podcast again anytime soon.
Have you still got the video of the Frank Clarke supercut of that podcast? Have you got it anywhere? I can dig it out.
I have. Yeah. I'll forward it to you. I'll let you whack that on Twitter. Remind people of what I'm talking about. But yeah, essentially, Frank's a lovely man. I think he just struggled to hear a little bit when you were directing questions to me. And didn't let me get a word in, but I'm sure it's down to a bit of hearing loss rather than any kind of rudeness or desire to shut me down. But all is forgiven. Thank you, Frank. Look forward to seeing you over for a beer at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. It was.
Let me speak at least for 10% of the conversation.
It certainly wasn't malice, but it was funny that I kept saying Michael. I'll put the video on, but Frank, didn't seem to hear that. This was from there quite early in last. Or was it? It's quite quite early last season, I think. So not so many people have seen it as watch us now. Mikey, any last words from you?
A couple of things. Greg Orham in the comments thinks my team's going to lose 9-0. It might. It may well do, to be honest. We shall see. The only thing I was going to say is tonight I'm going to it's a charity do at the South Bank in town with the class of '96. So the last team that was in Europe. I think people like Cooper and Chettle and Steve Stone and people like that are going to be there. So if anybody's going, come and say hello. But that should be a really good night. It's for a really good cause as well. There's going to be things raffled off and stuff. And I love doing things like that and reminiscing about, when we used to go away and beat teams. I'm just being facetious now. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And hopefully let's go to Liverpool and put on a positive performance to set us up for those home games. And that's the key. I think Temps is right. Probably going to lose to Liverpool. But if we have that positive performance, the Southampton, Brentford home games, Brighton, I'm getting it wrong now. Brighton, Southampton home games seem less daunting if we're playing in a way which makes you think we can score some goals, and that's what we're going to need.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much to everyone who's watched along. Very much appreciated. Comments appreciated as ever. Do like, subscribe, spread the word. I'm off to scout Brightford, see how they're set up for the run-in themselves. Temp, thank you very much.
Do one, Matt. I'm not interested.
Yeah, you better be. You're back on Monday, so I need you to be interested.
See you Monday, mate.
Mikey, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks, Temps.
As I said, we shall see you Monday, myself, Temps, and other guests to be confirmed. So have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy the Liverpool game, and we shall see you soon.